Hey everyone, it's Matt. This is Fantasy Football Almost Daily. Today, a very special episode where we tackle some NFL postseason fantasy with our friend and the godfather of the NFFC, Greg Ambrosius. But before we go to that, make sure if we've helped you win a few bucks this season, tips aren't necessary, but please make sure you've given us a great rating or review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or some thumbs up on YouTube. If you're subscribed to Fantasy Football Almost Daily, we thank you so much. And this weekend on Fanball, it's wild, literally. We've got a $20 Wild Peacock contest that runs through all 6 wildcard games. It starts on Saturday, so you're going to want to get your spot reserved soon, or else you can't win $1,000. There's also a $10 Saturday showdown and a $10 Sunday showdown, both super flex games. Both are, you guessed it, $10 to play, and both narrow down the player pool to just their respective day of the week. $400 to first on Saturday, $500 to first on Sunday. And if you use promo code ALMOST when you make a deposit to Fanball, we'll match your deposit up to $20 just for being a fan of this show. That's like a free Peacock entry right there. Let's talk some NFL playoffs with Greg, but first, Tate's sweet, sweet music.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
Goodness gracious, we got a newbie here to Fantasy Football Almost Daily. With me today, a true fantasy sports legend. He's the founder and general manager of the National Fantasy Football Championship. He's an FSGA and FSWA Hall of Famer. He's been on Sirius XM for years. Unfortunately, he's a Packer fan, but he's Greg Ambrosius. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this wild weekend. As I said, the college football playoffs on Thursday and Friday. Then you got the NFL Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is a man's dream weekend, right?
Yeah, and you might notice I'm wearing a UW River Falls hat right now. Division III national champions. Not too far from your neck of the woods, maybe a little closer to me. But
I'm a Platteville grad, so I was on the western side of the state for 4 years. So yeah, River Falls, Platteville, we had some great matchups when I was back there way, way long ago. You call me a newbie. I'm an old man. I went to college in the 70s.
I wasn't born in the 70s, so there we go.
Yep.
All right. We're going to talk about some of our favorite plays in the wild card round in a little bit. But first, Greg, for those of you who don't know you, and we probably have a little bit of different audiences between our two shows, how'd you get into the fantasy sports world and kind of what brings you to fantasy sports?
Yeah, like I said, I've been in the industry a long time. So I got in 1989. I was a newspaper sports editor for 7 years. I saw an ad in the Green Bay Press Gazette, believe it or not, on the day that the Packers drafted Tony Mandrich second overall instead of Barry Sanders. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, they were looking for a rotisserie magazine editor. I was like, that's right up my alley. I've been playing this for 3 years. When I came to interview for the job, they were like, you've been playing for 3 years? Wow, I was a veteran. And so I got hired. And we started Fantasy Baseball Magazine in 1989. We wanted to call it Rotisserie Baseball Magazine, but Glenn Wagner was going to sue us if we used the rotisserie. So I said, everybody's playing fantasy football. Let's just call it Fantasy Baseball Magazine. And that's what we did. So I was the editor of that for 15 years. I was in the baseball card industry at that time. Editor of Baseball Cards Magazine, Sports Collectors Digest, if you remember way back then. And so in 2004, the internet was killing magazines. And so I thought, why don't I start a high stakes game? People will have to buy my magazine to play the game. Well, the game took off, became this monster National Fantasy Baseball Championship, National Fantasy Football Championship. The magazines died. And so now for the last 23 years, I've been doing this instead of editing.
Some of the best businesses in the world are just built on a pivot, and you pivoted perfectly in this case.
I pivoted, but I wasn't sure what I was doing. I had never run any games, right? I was a commissioner of local leagues, but that's different from guaranteeing. In the first year, we guaranteed $100,000 grand prize in baseball, and we lost our ass. We lost tens of thousands of dollars. So we did it again in football, and we lost even more money in football. And my publisher said, you have one more year to make this right. They liked the idea that we were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from scratch from an idea. And the next year we sold out both contests. And then for baseball, we've sold out the main event 21 straight years.
Oh my goodness. So NFFC is National Fantasy Football Championship. NFBC is really the gold standard of baseball anything in the world. If you play fantasy baseball at all, and I do, everybody just talks about NFBC ADP because you guys have the best ADPs in the world, and that's how you figure out who to draft basically this early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's a 15-team league. There was never any 15-team league in fantasy baseball before I came up with it. And I didn't want to make it too easy by having a mixed league 12-team. I was in labor from the beginning in 1994. And those were 12-team AL and 12-team NL leagues. They were very, very tough. So I thought.
And labor is a league. You weren't actually physically in labor.
No, LABR, League of Alternative Baseball Reality, which is really the best experts league in the industry. And really, I wanted to come up with a tougher format. So I thought 16 teams, 14 teams, let's try 15 teams. And everybody loves a 15-team format. And that has just taken off. And really, we're the only high-stakes game in baseball. Not the case in football, but in baseball, like you say, we are the gold standard.
Yeah, and not everybody really knows what NFFC is, but I mean, it's legitimately the best way to play high-stakes fantasy football out there. So you kind of told us how it got its start, but just in this last season, give people an idea of how much in prizes NFFC gave away.
Yeah, so this year for prizes for football, we gave away $6 million. We did $5 million for baseball. We have given away $115 million since 2004. So in 22 years, we've given away $116 million. You know, CDM Fantasy Sports was acquired by Sports Hub as well. They've given away about $60 million since 1993. So really, our division has given away over $170 million in prizes. And that's why people keep coming back, because they can trust me and us to pay every year, right? There have been instances where games have not paid all their prizes. That was unfortunate in the 90s and the early 2000s. But now it's all whittled down. We've got really good game operators. And I think we're as trustworthy as anybody out there.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the NFFC postseason Hold'em contest. And there's 2 entry points. There's a $200 contest. It's got a $125,000 top prize.
Yep.
And then there's a $50 postseason mini, and that's got a $50,000 top prize. And that's some pretty good scratch there. That's life-changing money.
Yeah, I think $50 for 50,000's got a good ring to it. We did not have that contest right away. We had the $200 one all the time, and I thought, you know, maybe we should do a little better price point. Well, now we're going to get 2,800 teams for the $50 one. We're shooting for 1,525 teams for the $200 one. So it's both are really, really good contests, but people are taking multiple entries in the 50s. This is, like I say, is going to be a wild, wild format. I'm going to tell you something, Matt, that nobody knows, to be truthful. Rob Fithian came to our offices in Iola, Wisconsin in 2005 and was talking about a NASCAR game that he had that had a multiplier scoring format each round that you had the driver. And I looked at it, I was like, I could do that for football. I didn't have a postseason contest, and I thought, why don't we do this in football? That first year was 2005. Ben Roethlisberger was a 6th seed and led the Steelers to the title. Our guy won a $10,000 prize, Chris Schenker, that year. But that multiplier format was put in my head by Rob Fithian.
Oh, and it all comes full circle because Rob, of course, started Sports Hub. You're part of Sports Hub. I'm part of Sports Hub. One big, crazy, happy family. So I don't get to play in these postseason Hold'em contests besides our internal contest.
Yeah,
so
baby.
I don't know how much you're going to share with me since I'm competing with you on this, but
no problem.
You brought up the multiplier points, and maybe tell people how the multiplier points works in this specific contest.
Yeah, so this is a contest. There's no draft. There's no salary cap. We allow you to pick the players you want. The only thing is you can only pick one player from 12 different teams in round one. There's 14 teams in round one, so you're fading 2 of them, right? So you just pick one player from those 12 teams. Well, as the players stay on your roster in round 2, they're 2 times their scoring points.
Okay.
If you're on your roster again in the 3rd round, they're 3x. And if they get to the Super Bowl, they're 4x. So this multiplier is a really big factor in our contest. When you lose players, you're allowed to pick up new players but they start out as 1X. So
Yeah.
really round 2 is when it gets real interesting.
And in the second round, the divisional round, you can have 2 players from each roster on your
Correct.
team. So that's when you can start pulling those stacks out and
Yep.
stuff, figuring out different players. And then in the third round, the conference championship, you can have 3 from each.
Yep.
And then in the Super Bowl, 4 players from each team, only 8 on your roster at that
Correct.
point. They whittle the rosters down a little bit. But
Yeah, we didn't want to go 12 at that point. Everybody have the same 6 guys basically, So
yeah.
so it's 12 players in round 1, 2, and 3, and then 8 players in round 4.
So you definitely do have to come back and make lineup decisions each week.
Yep.
It doesn't set it and forget it for you. Like
No.
I run a big fantasy playoff league, and it's you draft your team and that's it. You're not touching it for the rest
There's
of the
plenty
year.
of contests out there like that,
Mhm.
without a doubt. This one, it takes a little bit more time, but it doesn't take much to fill in 4 players, let's say. So again, in round 1, you want to lose only 4 players, right? You're going to pick
Mhm.
12 teams. 6 teams are going to lose. You may have the 2 bye teams as well, so you get those in for round 2. So you really want to lose just 4 players this first round, so you have as many 2Xs next week as possible.
And I'm glad you brought up the bye teams because I was looking at my roster in our internal contest, and
Mhm.
do you always pick those
Yes.
bye week teams? And do you pick like legitimately good players at Seattle and Denver this year? Are you picking like a Bo Nix or a Jackson Smith and Jigba, or are you leaving those to like the lesser positions like the team defense or the kicker or something like that?
So both of those teams, if you look at their rosters, they don't have great offensive players, right? Their
Mhm.
defenses have really brought them. So you could certainly take their defenses if you want. I think JSN is a must. I think you got to have him. But for Denver, it gets a lot tougher. Do you want Sutton? Do you want Harvey? Do you want the defense? I want both of those teams because they're going to start out 2X. And listen, they're going to be at home the first round. They've had a bye. They should win. Your players should go 2X, 3X. They may not get to the Super Bowl, but don't worry about leading the contest after week 1. That doesn't mean anything. You want to lead after the final game of the Super Bowl. So definitely take bye players. Yes, you're getting a 0 in week 1, but they're starting out 2X and hopefully 3X and maybe 4X.
So there's not a lot of people who believe in specifically like the Chargers or the Steelers or the Panthers right now to make a long run. Do you completely fade those teams, or do you pick out individual players for the first round that you think might have a really good shot at coming up big? Like for instance, I'm looking at Omarion Hampton this
Right.
week against the Patriots run D, and the
Right.
Patriots run D surprisingly has been pretty bad for about a month. So I'm like, Hampton's in a good spot, but do I think the Chargers are going to beat the Patriots? I do not. So what do
Right.
I do in that situation?
So the first thing you do with this contest again is pick your 2 fade teams, right? And
Mhm.
the 2 obvious ones are Carolina, they're 10-point underdogs at home against the Rams. And I think Pittsburgh to me is a fade. I don't like any of the players on there. Do you want DK Metcalf? Do you want Jalen Warren? So I'm going to fade Pittsburgh myself. I think they're going to lose to Houston. So those are the 2 teams I'm fading, and I am taking a Marion Hampton from the Chargers. I don't think they're going to win as well, but I do think that Hampton can put up points. So for your other 12 players, not counting the 2 bye guys, you want the best players to score as many points as possible, right? That's what you're looking for on these
Yeah.
teams.
Oh, well, with Hampton, like this is kind of a good case strategy. Like if we look at Hampton and you like his matchup, but you think he's going to lose,
Mhm.
do you put him as a running back or do you put him as a flex if you think he's going to lose to get you the flexibility of picking different players?
Yeah, so you can move them around in round
Okay.
2. If you had them at flex, you can move, or running back, you can move them to flex. But again, you're going to lose 4. And think of this as well. You need to pick up guys the next round. So if I'm going with Stafford, which I like Stafford a lot,
Mhm.
I definitely want Puka in round 2, right? So I don't want all my wide receivers and the flex to go on and have all my running backs get eliminated. Because now I
Mhm.
can't get Puka in unless I bench one of my guys who's going to be 2X. So think about the next round. I'm making sure that I'm getting Puka in there for sure, either in the flex or the wide receiver spot. So, but yes, you're going to be able to move a guy from running back to flex in round 2 if you want to.
Um, do you try to get like your two Super Bowl prediction teams in a certain
Yes.
position? For instance, the quarterback position. Do you want to get 4x on two quarterbacks going into the Super Bowl? Is that kind of your strategy and how you look at it?
That is definitely my strategy. Again, NFFC scoring is 6 points per passing touchdowns. So I'm looking at the two quarterbacks. I pick my two fade teams. That's the first thing I do. And then I
Mhm.
pick my two quarterbacks. With me, I may be wrong. The AFC is wide open, but I like Drake May an awful lot. I think he's going to score in round one, so I'll take those extra points. And I do think they can go to Denver and win. I think they can win on the road. I like all three phases of the game there, so I'm going with Drake May. In the NFC, man, it is wide open. You can pick anybody. Hurts, but I'm going to go with Stafford. And again, I know a lot of people are going to put Puka in because then you can get Stafford at 3x. But with Devontae Adams back, he gets those 1 yard touchdown receptions, right? He
Mhm.
gets touchdown receptions inside the 5. So if they're going to score a lot, I think Stafford outscores Puka. So I'm putting Stafford in there. So right now I'm going Stafford and Drake May.
Interesting. That's a way to make your lineup different. And I mean, how do you kind of stand out and differentiate your lineup in these kind of things? Because it's probably really easy for people to fall into the trap and go, "Well, I'm going to pick McCaffrey because he's
Right.
obvious. I'm going to pick either James Cook or Josh Allen from the Bills. I'm going to pick the same guys over and over again." Like, do you flip to a Kyron Williams this week on the Rams over a Puka or a Stafford? Because the matchup for against the Panthers is really nice for on the ground for Kyron.
Right. So guys will take multiple teams in doing that. If I have one team, I'm not going to be a differentiator in round one, right? I'm taking
Mhm.
the best players in round one. Again, it's in round 2 and 3. Tom talked about this on our podcast. James White won this contest for people back when they came back against Atlanta in 2016, I believe it was, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Damian Williams won it for a lot of people because they were 3x at that point and people didn't have James White at 3x. So,
Mhm.
really, the differentiators I think are in round two. Don't get too cute in round one. I think get the guys you think are going to get 3x and maybe 4x. Those are the ones you really want to have in your lineup right away. But round two and round three is when you get the differentiators.
And I know you and Tom Kesenich and Jeff Stein dug in deep to some of the different strategies in your latest podcast, High Stakes Weekly. You can find that just by following you on Twitter at
Yep.
Greg Ambrosius, right? I got
Yep.
that right?
Yep.
There we go.
I'll try
Yeah,
to spell the
so
last name.
Uh, just at Greg AMB and see if it fills out the
There
rest
you
of it
go.
for you.
There you go.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about each of the games individually. But first, Pat Mayo is going to tell you about a huge contest coming up in a little over a week where you can pocket your share of 1.2 million.
All right, people, it's that time of year again. The Mayo Cup is officially open. That's right, your yearly reminder that you could win life-changing money if you stop making coward picks and actually commit to greatness. Let's talk stakes, because the Mayo Cup, not messing around. $110,000 to first place. 110,000 actual, real dollars. And with your $250 entry, you're playing for a prize pool of $1.2 million. That's 7 figures of pure, delicious fantasy golf sweat. And this season, the Mayo Cup is fully available in the Fanball app. Week-to-week picks, leaderboard sweats, berating yourself for fading the guy who wins by 6. You can do it all right from your phone. So head to the Fanball app, search for the Mayo Cup, and get yourself entered. 1.2 million in prizes, 110,000 to the winner, just $250 to play. This is the year, unless you blow it again. But hey, you might not. Sign up now. The contest tees off January 15th.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Football Almost Daily. Greg, let's talk really quickly kind of about these 6 wild card games. Maybe some knee-jerk reactions to each of these matchups. And Rams at Panthers is the one that kicks us off on Saturday afternoon. And as you said, the Rams double-digit favorites on the road. We talked a little bit about this already. Stafford, Kyron, Puka. If you really wanted to be contrarian, you could go with your old friend Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
How do you kind of treat this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rams -10. I think they're going to win on the road. Obviously, they lost to Carolina during the regular season. They got some revenge and stuff. Again, I'm starting with Stafford. I'm hoping to get Puka in round two, Kyron in round three, and then Devontae in round four. That's how I'm going to try to build my team. Carolina, I'm fading. If you're not fading them, it's Ted McMillan, right? Who else are you going to have? Rico Dowdle, but I'm fading
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah, I think that that's probably the proper way. Although the Panthers did beat this Rams team
I know it.
in Carolina just a few weeks ago, so
Yep.
it's a little thornier than it seems. And maybe the Rams not traveling well to that part of the country because they lost to Atlanta a week ago too.
Yeah. No, they haven't been good on the road this year, certainly towards the end here. But I think Stafford's going to rally the troops here. Having Devontae Adams back in the lineup does make a difference here as well. So he should be healthy from the hamstring injury he had. I feel really good about this one. Rams are going to cover for sure.
Well, and last I checked, the Rams are the second highest favorite to win the Super
Yes.
Bowl right now.
Right.
So as a 5 seed, that's pretty impressive.
Yes.
I hope the Rams win. It probably sets up a pretty interesting game next week, either with the Eagles, Bears, or Seahawks. Any of those games would be absolutely awesome. But
Absolutely.
let's talk about the Packers and Bears. And I don't know if you can be objective about this one, Greg.
I can.
So
I can.
so it's basically a pick 'em. It's fluctuated. It started with Packers by 1.5. It's now Bears by 1.5. Last I looked. I'm not trying to blow smoke here. I think the Packers have a pretty good opportunity to win this game. Obviously, in the last game, they lost that lead in the last 2 minutes of the game, but they were winning by 10 points,
Yes. Yeah.
basically without Jordan Love
Yes.
with 2 minutes to go. And that would have been their second win against the Bears.
Well, all they had to do was recover the onside, which everybody does, So that was just bizarre the way it ended. They played very, very well. No, I can be objective. This is wild. I was on DraftKings yesterday. The Packers are favored by 1.5. Now the Bears are favored by 1.5 on DraftKings. The Bears should be favored. I'm sorry. The Bears should be favored. Packers have lost 4 games in a row. They're beat up. Now, here's the one thing. They did rest everybody against Minnesota, and they are really pretty healthy. Jacobs should be as healthy as he's been since the Giants game. So, and Love is definitely past a concussion protocol. He should be. He hasn't played though in 3 weeks. So, will there be rust? I said this yesterday on our podcast. I think whoever gets the ball first is going to set the tone. Like the Bears were terrible on Sunday. They were not aggressive. I think that offense comes out and throws the ball around and gets really aggressive, runs the ball down the Packers' throat. But the Packers, if they get the ball in that last meeting, they had the ball 3 times in the first half, 7-minute drives, 7-minute drives, 6-minute drives. So the Packers are going to want to hold on to the ball. I think the early part of the game is going to tell what's going to happen here.
So on the Green Bay side, it feels like unless you think they're going to make a deep run, you don't go Jordan Love here. So that kind of leaves you with Josh Jacobs or maybe Christian Watson.
Correct. I think Jacobs is the play here. I'm going to put him in my lineup. He scores when they get near the goal line, right? Like this is probably going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be in the 20s. I think they're going to score more than they did the other night, the last time they played together. But this could be a 20-21 game, something like that. I think Jacobs gets in the end zone. So I'm going with Jacobs. If they would win, I would go with Watson in the second round. I mean, you could go with Dobbs at some point, but really, I think Watson and Jacobs are the top 2 guys you go for.
I think my initial lineup that I made had Watson as my first guy in. I just really like the way that the matchup lines up for Watson against the Bears secondary that hasn't looked great in the last few weeks. Right. And the Bears randomly kind of good at run defense right now. So speaking of run defenses, the Packers randomly not very good at it. So it feels like DeAndre Swift is kind of the guy that you want to go with here.
That's who I'm going with for sure. It wasn't just the Micah Parsons injury. It was the Devonta Wyatt injury the week before against Detroit. They have nothing in the front line. Then they got Riley, who played pretty well, and then he tore his Achilles against Baltimore. So now they got another practice squad guy from the Bears. So to me, it's Swift without a doubt. Round 2, maybe you look at Odunze, right? Loveland in round 3 if they were able to go. I'm not going with Caleb at this point for sure. So, but if you were to think the Bears could get to the Super Bowl, you put him in as your quarterback, right? But I think Swift is the play here.
Yeah, I think you definitely, if you think that the Bears are going to go on an unbelievable run here,
yeah,
then you go Caleb, right?
Then you go Caleb without a doubt.
All right. Bills at Jaguars is the Sunday kickoff. Bills favored by 1.5 right now. Basically, also a pick 'em. The Bills are easy because it's Josh Allen or it's James Cook, and
Right.
it's, do you believe that the Bills are going to the Super Bowl? Then it's Josh Allen. Do you not
Correct.
believe that they're going to the Super Bowl? Then it's James Cook, right?
Without a doubt, that's easy to say, right? And then if you get to round 3, is a Shakir or Diggs. They don't really have a lot of skill position guys, right? So definitely, I'm going with Cook myself. I'm not doing a Josh Allen. Jeff, when on our podcast, said he's going to do it. He's going to listen. This is a slap in the face to Jacksonville. They've just won 8 games in a row. They won their division. They've been as impressive as anybody, and they're dogs, home dogs. This is ridiculous. But this is a 1.5 spread on Josh Allen. Listen, I think Jacksonville can win this game. So I'm kind of laying off. I'm taking the James Cook numbers that they're going to get. When it comes to Jacksonville, ETN. We're using up all our running backs, but that'd be 4 if we wanted to use them. But to me, it's ETN. Again, if you think they're going all the way, do Trevor Lawrence. But otherwise, Parker Washington would be my second round one for Jacksonville. But I'm going ETN here.
The Jaguars are so similar to the Bills in many ways right now, with it's either the quarterback or the running back. And that's who you have to go with almost.
I mean, you'd love to go Brian Thomas, but you're not doing that. That's for sure after what he did to you this year.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. All right, Niners at Eagles, and man, this is not the matchup I wanted in the playoffs. I wanted the 49ers to go against a weak defense so we could have a points bonanza. Instead, they got to go across the country to the Eagles, who are going to slow down this game, and there's probably going to be like 25 points scored in this one. Right now, the Eagles are favored by 4.5.
They are favored by 4.5, which is kind of surprising. I mean, listen, the Eagles should have played their starters for a quarter, and they would have beat Washington, right? They could have got the Packers, which would have been a terrible matchup for the Packers. Instead, they got the Niners. Again, this is an easy one. CMC, if you got room for him in your lineup, you got to put him in there. Philly, what do you do with Philly? Their offense has been horrendous. I'm leaning A.J. Brown, but Devonta Smith has had better numbers than him. Do you think they go all the way? Tom says he's putting Hurts in as his quarterback. I don't trust them to go all the way. Honestly, Philadelphia, to me, this feels like the 2023 version, where you said, man, their offense has been bad, but once they get in the playoffs, it's going to pick up. You know what? This offense has been bad for a long time, and I don't think they just turn on the switch like that in the playoffs. So I'm not in on Philly in the playoffs here. I could see San Francisco going here and winning this game.
I think that's true. I think the weird thing about the Eagles is they've just shown you exactly who they are in the last month. That game against the Bills where they won by 1 point, I think it was 13-12 or something like that. It's just going to be a slog. Nobody's going to want to watch these games. They're going to be ugly. They're going to be annoying. But man, I think the Eagles still probably are the class of the NFC right now.
Their defense is unreal. And so you talk about that Buffalo game. They didn't get a first down in the second half.
Yeah.
Their defense held on to that lead. But, I mean, give me a break. You got to be able to control the ball at some point. So I could definitely think Philadelphia is going to be favored and be the win this thing. But I could see San Francisco going in there and after being embarrassed offensively. But this Philadelphia defense is number one.
Is that the defense you choose then? If you don't think the Eagles have it for the full playoffs, is this the team D that you go with and you just go, hey, Brock Purdy, he's pretty good, but he does make a few turnovers. He's going to be on the road. It's going to be cooler conditions maybe than Santa Clara, but yeah.
Yeah, possibly. And, I want to put CMC in my lineup. I want him to get 2X. So maybe I won't go A.J. Brown. Maybe I will go defense for Philadelphia. They can get sacks. We know that. Brock does turn the ball over. So there's not a bad play if you pivot to the defense there.
All right. The Sunday nighter is Chargers at Patriots. Patriots favored only by 3.5, which I think is kind of surprising. I thought that number would be way higher. Yeah. We already talked about a little bit about how I like Omarion Hampton here. The Patriots defense over the last month against the run has been really bad. I think a lot of people are citing, the schedule. The Patriots only played 2 teams with a winning record this year. It was the Bills, who they split with, and the Steelers, who aren't that good. Yeah. So I think that people are saying, hey, the Chargers could just come in and steal this one, which is possible. On the pass side,
Yeah,
On the
it's
Pat side,
possible. I'll say one thing, the Patriots have been blowing out teams though, right? Like, they're not just
Mhm.
beating bad teams, they're blowing them out. Obviously the Jets are terrible, but, they just get on top of them and it's all over with. So, okay, so again, I'm going Drake May for New England. I think they're
Yeah.
gonna run the tape. You would go Diggs, but Travian Henderson, even in the backfield though, you got Stevenson and Henderson, and they're gonna split touchdowns, they're gonna split carries. Who do you even go there? So I'm going the easy route. I'm taking Drake May. When it comes to the Chargers, I agree. Hampton, Lad McConkey hasn't put up great numbers.
Mm-mm.
So I think Hampton or fade is the way you go there. I think they're going to win by 3.5. My goodness, I'm surprised that spread doesn't move up. Patriots are going to win this by more than 3.5.
Yeah, I think so too. Texans at Steelers is the Monday nighter right now. Texans road favorites 3.5. It seems to me like the Texans D is the best play on the Houston side. If not, probably Nico Collins, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm probably going to put Nico Collins in there. I think this defense gets after Rodgers, right? I mean, my goodness, I can't believe they won that game the other night. Rodgers was just chucking it down behind the line of scrimmage and having those guys take off. But it was
It was
insane.
back to Aaron's glory days there for that last 10 minutes of that game. He looked like he was a youthful guy again.
Absolutely, and he can still throw the long ball, right? It's not like he's just dinking and dunking because he's got Phillip Rivers' arm strength. He can throw it, no doubt about it. But without DK Metcalf in there, so getting him back is obviously going to help this offense a ton. But this Houston defense is just like Philly; they're just dominating. They're going to get after Rodgers, and I think Rodgers is going to show his age this week myself. So again, I'm fading Pittsburgh. I like Nico Collins, but I am leaning towards Houston defense as well.
If you were going to fade the Chargers and the Panthers and you picked somebody on the Steelers side, here's my sneaky play.
Okay.
Pat Freiermuth. The Texans have given up 5 touchdowns to tight ends in the last 5 weeks.
Well, yeah, it's a risky one for sure, because if they do advance, then you got him at 2x. But, I mean, Gainwell is the guy, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guy who's getting 8 receptions a game, basically, and Rodgers loves him. So I think Gainwell over Jalen Warren myself would be the play. But
Rodgers loves all those old guys, though. The older you are, the better the more he loves you.
He does. He relates to the older guys. But, I love Rodgers. I always have loved Rodgers. I got a fat head of him looking at me right here in my office, but I hope he hangs it up after this year. I mean, he's taking a punishment. He doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah, nice to see him in the playoffs one more time, but we'll see how it goes. It'll be cool to see him at home against the Texans and see if he can decipher what to do against that crazy Texans D.
Yeah, that Texans D is good, and Stroud has been bad on the games that they've lost, even when the defense is good. So it's going to really be up to Stroud to move the ball against this Pittsburgh defense.
All right, that's the 6 games in the wild card round, and I mean, do you go through the wild card round and you bracket it out how you think that the tournament's going to go to kind of fill out your postseason hold'em bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm definitely picking who I think the 6 teams are going to win this week with the 2 bye teams that I have, and then who's my next picks after that, right?
Mhm.
I don't go beyond round 2, to be honest, but I do have a depth chart of every team right here where I'm 4 deep on how I would do it. But, it's not rocket science. Like we say, you're looking at the Bears, my goodness, Swift, Odunze, that's about it, right? Loveland. And so then move on to the next team and find 4 players that you would use. So I'm mapping out my first 2 rounds, and then from there I'll go on. I want to say one thing about the defenses. Don't think that the defenses are inconsequential. I lost our internal league in 2020 when I had Mahomes in the Super Bowl and Trevor had the Bucs defense, and the Bucs defense outscored Mahomes, and he passed me on a 4x. So when Trevor put that lineup together, he didn't think the Bucs were going to win. They were a wild card team, right? They're on the road. He didn't think they were going to win. That's why he put them at defense, and they ended up winning the internal league from him, and I took second.
Fans of this show know that Trevor's always galaxy braining everybody else. He knows what he's doing every time.
He does, but that time it was lucky. I'm telling you right now.
All right, a reminder on NFFC. You can go play the postseason Hold'em tournament by going to playnffc.com, and it's $125,000 to the winner. of the big contest, the $200 contest, and $50,000 for the postseason mini. That's the $50 contest. And like I said, life-changing money in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could win it myself, but I'm happy to give it to anybody listening out there right now. Hopefully we helped you put your lineup together, but sign up, secure your teams, because once we get our marks, we're selling out, we're done. All right. So you can always change your lineup. In fact, the good thing about this contest, you can change your lineup before each game on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So in other words, the first game, you got to set your Ram and you got to set your Panther. But then after that, you can still change your lineups if you're in not sure who you're going to take for the Packers and such like that. So just secure your teams and then set your lineups this weekend.
Excellent. All right, Greg, anything else that you got going on this coming week as we head into the playoffs?
No, I mean, the baseball, like I said, fantasy baseball right now is through the roof. Our NFBC signups are way ahead of record pace right now. Our main event is 50% sold out. So go to playnfbc.com. We have drafts filling every single day. Find our ADPs at playnfbc.com/ADP. They're the gold standard and they're free. You can sort them by any day that you want. It's fantastic.
It's hard for me to concentrate on fantasy baseball as soon as like September hits and the football season goes.
Absolutely.
But as soon as the regular season ends, I start getting that itch a little bit, and I start looking at ADPs on NFBC and start listening to a few podcasts here and there. Man, I love fantasy baseball.
It's because we live in Minnesota and Wisconsin and the winter is so freaking long. We can hardly wait to see sunshine, baseball, and Cracker Jack, right?
We got so much ice here today that my kids' school was canceled.
It was canceled here today too, and we didn't get as much ice as you, but the roads were ice this morning for sure.
I went and I have a slight slope on my driveway. I slid down it just a little bit, and then I got about halfway down the driveway. I turn around and go, I don't know how I'm going to get back up there.
Well, I got tired of snow blowing my lawn or my driveway, so my wife bought a four-wheeler, put a plow in front of it, and she does it now. She loves doing it. So find toys. To get through the winter, you need to buy toys. I can tell you that.
I love it. I love it. Maybe my wife would like a four-wheeler.
She would love it. She would
probably get her that for Valentine's Day for sure.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, Greg. This was Fantasy Football Almost Daily. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode with Trevor and Maj as we preview all of the Wild Card Weekend games, Fantasy Friday style. Ooh, excellent. We're going to see you then. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
This was Fantasy Football Almost Daily. Please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts.